friends. just watched a video by Gabor Mate, an interview of Gabor Mate, who is a psychologist, psychiatrist, therapist, who also works with psychedelic assisted therapy. And he just wrote a book, which I've now purchased and have not read. But he looks at the issue of trauma, and he basically posits that trauma is the basis of essentially all physical and psychological illness. And not all, I'm not making this claim for him, but an overwhelming majority of the pathologies we experience physically or mentally, he says, can be attributed to trauma. And this interview was so spectacular. It was so cool. The distinctions he draws. For example, he talks about how trauma, when we think about trauma, we think about generally traumas of commission, what he calls commission, which is where something happens, something is committed, an act is committed that shouldn't have happened. So it causes pain, it causes damage, causes fear, causes whatever, terror, creates an imprint of trauma. But then there's trauma of omission, which is things that should have happened that didn't happen. Things that needs we had when we were younger that weren't met. And he and the interviewer sort of spoke about how you really want to keep an awareness of both, because it's especially easy to miss the second one, the traumas of omission. It's especially easy to overlook them and see an essentially functional, happy childhood or life or set of circumstances and think, well, that's not traumatic. But actually the effect of a need not being met actually is traumatic. And it does cause an imprint, and it can be a lasting imprint that can carry through an entire life if we don't find a way of accessing it, find a way of looking at it. And all this kind of obviously is resonating with me. I think there's all I know is if I look at my own perception of life and I look at my own perspective, there's an odd kind of baseline of fear that's there. I've spoken about this on a number of my posts, and it's something that once we have an awareness of it, we can at least we can observe it, and it doesn't have to run us as much. But it was really interesting hearing him chat with this other interviewer, because this is all part of the Psychedelic Assisted Therapy Global Summit, which is happening this week. And at the end of it, Gabor Mate, one of the leading sort of figures in this movement, and I think a very important voice in the room, basically said, psychedelics isn't going to fix everything. This isn't the only. He said, this is a modality I wouldn't want to do without, but the work is much, much broader and much deeper and much larger. And meditation, sitting in stillness, letting things arise, is almost more effective because it can lead us to the same territory. We can access the same issues within ourselves without going into an altered state and having experiences that really kind of come from out of the blue, from where we become transported to a different dimension, and then have to somehow integrate those insights into our more run-of-the-mill daily experience. He said people who don't do it through psychedelics, but who do it through just a more gradual kind of settling into their own awareness type of approach, actually they're a step ahead, because the integration of the experiences is simpler and easier. And it just kind of planted me right back in my own practice, made me so grateful for it, and also made me think I should probably be meditating even more. You know, that's like the constant mantra in my mind right now. I meditate daily, but every once in a while, you know, I'll need a little extra sleep, or there'll be something to take care of in the morning, and I take care of it instead of meditating. And it's like so easy for us to become pulled off of what truly is the most fundamental aspect of remaining conscious and of ultimately of healing. You know, I kind of see all human life, as a process of healing. If we don't have anything left to heal, we probably don't need to be a human being anymore. You know, we can just dissolve into light and join the next plane of beings wherever they live. So there's some extent to which all of life is a healing. And so processes like meditation, processes like stillness, connecting with ourselves, whatever those are the bedrock of life. They're the reason we're here. They're literally the reason we're here. The reason we're still here. And I just found this, I can't wait to read this book, but I just found it quite inspiring to see this work being done on such a high level and with such an awareness. You know, it brings me back to what music is about for me, and what teaching music is about for me, the kind of musicians that I want to cultivate, and kind of musical practice that I want to share. One of the most beautiful moments was in preparing for Annalise's recital. We sat in the recital hall, and she has this bunny, is one of her friends. Sometimes Bunny shows up as an actual stuffed bunny, but sometimes we just get pretend Bunny. And on this particular day, pretend Bunny had gotten injured. So we went to her violin lesson, and we had to have some time in the hall before the lesson. And so Bunny had gotten injured, and we put Bunny down in the hall, and then Annalise played her songs for Bunny as part of healing Bunny. So I thought that was an awfully nice impulse. It's an awfully nice feeling that's what, that a kind of intuitive understanding that's what music is about. That's what music can do. Thanks, folks. Have a great day. I appreciate you. I'll see you soon.